Welcome to Master the Science of Miracles, where we will explore the ancient science of transforming your ideas into your physical reality. Join us on a thrilling adventure that pushes beyond the limits of conventional beliefs about what it truly means to be human, as we unravel the truth about how powerful you really are. In each episode, we will discover the elements of the reliable, repeatable, step-by-step process for making the miraculous and ordinary part of your life. This is your portal to the extraordinary. So let the adventure begin. And now, here's your host, Ron Matthews.
Welcome back. I'm so glad to be with you again today. Last time when we were together, I talked about that universal life force energy that is thought to animate all life in the universe. The plants, the animals, you and me, even the minerals in the shamanic traditions are believed to have life, and that life force, that vital life force, is what makes everything alive. It is what holds everything together. We humans have the distinction of being able to recognize that energy and interact with it. And we're going to be doing that to good effect as we proceed together through the Master the Science of Miracles system. Now, if you recall, I talked about how important it is to learn to breathe in such a way that your tummy expands when you inhale and it contracts when you exhale. Rather than just your chest rising and falling, your tummy expands and contracts. And as you do that, if you focus your attention on that point, just 3 finger widths below the lower edge of your navel, that energy point, putting your attention on it and breathing as though you're breathing into it causes the energy in that point to wake up. And you'll begin to feel that. As you do the practice, as you practice this breathing every day, you'll begin to feel these subtle motions, this subtle feeling of something moving down there. Very subtle. That is your energy responding to your thoughts and to your breath. And we're going to be learning to use that energy as a part of the process of transmuting your thoughts about your most cherished desire into your physical reality. And as I said last time, if you take nothing else away from our time together, then this breathing and concentration method, this alone is going to have a transformative effect on your whole life. 10 minutes a day of intentional breathing and focusing your attention on that point. Simple, right? So I hope you'll do that from now until forever. Now, before I proceed to talk about the subconscious self, which is perhaps the most important part of the entire system, I wanted to address one thing that you may have been wondering about, and that is, why am I wearing these goofy-looking yellow clip-on glasses? And the reason is simple. The yellow clip-ons block the blue wavelengths of light from lights here in the studio. The lights here in the studio are pretty bright. And so I protect my eyes by wearing these things. I actually have an eye disease that was diagnosed several years ago, and I was told it was probably going to steal my vision, make me blind. Well, as you can see, I'm not blind. And I was my own first guinea pig in the Master the Science of Miracles system, which demonstrated to me that, holy mackerel, this thing is for real. And so that's why I wear these yellow glasses, it's for no other reason than that. So recall that figure represents the 3 parts of ourselves. You can see it here behind me. The middle part is our conscious self. That's the part of us that has ideas. That's where we form what I call our multi-sensory thought form. And I'm going to be teaching you how to do that in subsequent episodes. That's where the ideas are generated. the ideas of your life as it's going to be when you have achieved whatever it is you want to do, to be, or to have. And then that thought form is sent through your high self to your transcendent self, the part of us, all of us, that is thought to be created in the image and likeness of the creator of all that is. Whatever your belief system is, whatever your tradition is, I imagine you have some notion of some first cause. Well, that is what we're told we are created in the image of, and that part of us that is created in that image is our transcendent self. The subconscious self is extremely mysterious. It's mysterious because it doesn't seem to operate in the same way that our conscious self operates. What I mean by that is your subconscious self is trying to communicate with you as a conscious self all the time. It's just that we ignore it. We don't realize what's happening. Now, it communicates with us through things like memories or emotions, sensations, gut feelings that pop up. As a matter of fact, talking about gut feelings, in your stomach is a class of cells called glial cells, and those are identical with some of the cells in your brain. So when you say you have a gut feel, that's exactly what's happening. You're having a feeling in your gut. You're perceiving something in your gut, and that is your intuition. And your intuition is one of the components of our subconscious self. So we're going to be talking about all these things in great detail in subsequent episodes. So stay with me if you would. One of the things that's very important to understand is that your subconscious self, mine and everybody's, takes every word we say externally or to ourselves as a command. Whatever we say, our subconscious self takes that as us saying, go do this. And to that end, I want to engage you in a process called basic mental housekeeping. Now, what does that mean? Well, if our subconscious self takes everything we say as a command, then how many times do we use words which are non-resourceful? And I'll give you an example. The death word, we use it all the time. An example of the death word is, let's say you go to a restaurant and, oh my golly, the food is so good. You tell your friends that food is to die for. You've given your subconscious self a command. Your back is hurting you. You wake up, you're stiff, and you say, oh my gosh, my back is killing me. You've given your subconscious self a command. So here's a simple tool that you can use right now, today, and from now on. Whenever you catch yourself saying something non-resourceful, like, oh, why am I so fill in the blank, dumb, fat, whatever. When you find yourself saying something like that, I want you to repeat these two words: cancel, cancel. That sends a message to your subconscious self to disregard what I just said. I didn't mean it. Because here's the thing. Even though when you say these things, you may be facetious, you may be kidding, you may not mean it. Your subconscious does not understand facetious, kidding, don't mean it. And so it takes every word you say and every word you hear as a command. So when you hear somebody else saying something like that, oh, this food is to die for, cancel, cancel, then you say to yourself, hopefully silently, you say to yourself, cancel, cancel. I mean, excuse me. Hopefully you'll say to yourself, and hopefully to yourself, cancel, cancel. Now, you could say it out loud, but the more you do it, your friends are going to say, wait a minute, I just said 3 things and you canceled all 3 of them. What is going on? So you don't have to say it out loud. And as soon as you say it, whether you say it in response to something you said or you thought or something you heard, then replace whatever was just said with a more resourceful expression. Oh my gosh, that food was the food of the gods. It made the angels sing. Oh my gosh, my back is really hurting me today. Those are stating the same thing, but they're using language which is less disempowering or more empowering, if you can put it that way. This is really important because, like I said, your subconscious constantly acts on everything you say. And again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but we're going to talk about this in a great deal more detail in future episodes. The next thing I want to talk about is based on something that a famous French psychologist from the 19th century discovered. His name was Émile Coué. He discovered that when he taught his patients to start every day by saying, every day and in every way, I am getting better, better, and better. What he discovered was his patients who actually put that into practice had a measurable improvement in the quality of their lives. A very clever fellow by the name of Jose Silva generalized that idea even more. He said, when somebody asks you how you're doing, when somebody asks you how you doing, what do you say? Oh, I'm okay, not bad, pretty good. All of those things you said are limiting expressions, and your subconscious takes them as though they came down from Mount Sinai on the stone tablets. So instead, when somebody asks you, how are you doing? I always say better and better. If you ask any of my friends, any of my students, what does Ron say when somebody asks him how he's doing? They'll tell you he always says better and better, because I'm training my own subconscious. No matter how good I'm doing, I can always be doing better and better. And in point of fact, if somebody asks you how you're doing, they really don't care. You want to try and find that out? Next time somebody asks you how you're doing, then tell them, oh golly, I must have slept wrong last night. I got a crick in my neck. I think I'm getting a cold. Cancel, cancel. Watch the look on their face. They're going to be saying, oh my God, why did I even ask? So instead, say better and better. About one person in 20 is going to say, that's cool. What do you mean by that? Why'd you say that? And then you can tell them, it's because my subconscious obeys everything I say, and so does yours. So maybe from now on, you can say better and better too. So those 2 elements, very simple elements of basic mental housekeeping I wanted to give you, and you can start using them right now today. Is that fair? Now, according to shamanic traditions where the belief system is very close to the earth, their spirituality is based on a holistic idea that we are part of a greater whole. There is the belief, and in ancient mystery schools as well, there is a belief that the subconscious self was actually a sentient being. It has a body. The body is composed of finer grades of physical matter. And in fact, parts of our own being, which are called the aura, a bio-body field that surrounds all of us, is also composed of these finer grades of matter. Your subconscious self has the relationship to your physical body that a pencil has to a pencil box. And to extend that analogy, our subconscious will go out and gather information as we direct it to. This is one of the most powerful things about the subconscious. is that it is able to transcend our physical location. I've done experiments with some of my students where I will be interacting with them on Zoom, and I will send them a thought or a thought form. I'll send them an energy pulse, and I watch them. And the instant I send it, they receive it. So another characteristic that our subconscious self seems to have is the characteristic of non-locality, which is why I say that the subconscious self is so mysterious and so enigmatic. As powerful as a subconscious self is, as I've just alluded to and as I said earlier, it is very, very susceptible to suggestion. Suggestion from outside of us and suggestion from our own internal self-talk, which is why I just taught you those two elements of basic mental housekeeping. So it controls all the involuntary functions, your heart rate, circulation, blood pressure, digestion, all your endocrine functions. Every involuntary function is controlled by your subconscious. And it's a good thing, too, because if we had to consciously control these things, we'd be dead in 10 seconds. So our subconscious is very, very powerful. And it has the mental capacity of a younger sibling, 9 or 10 years old. And that analogy is very apt because, like a younger sibling, it desperately wants to please us as a conscious self. It is there to serve our conscious self and to serve our transcendent self. It is the keeper, it keeps, administers, and controls all of our emotions, all of them. So when you have an emotional response, that's your subconscious self that's responding. It's making you, as a whole person, exhibit these emotions. Now, the other side of that is that just like a younger sibling, your subconscious self can be moody. It can become uncooperative. And so it's important for us to learn how it communicates with us. I'm communicating with you right now using language. I'm speaking English. And likely you're hearing me in English. Whatever your first language is, your subconscious self does not speak that. It communicates using feelings, emotions, memories. And the implications of this are absolutely staggering. Because in order for us to be able to send the thought form, our multisensory thought form of our desired outcome through our subconscious self, it has to have a clear channel. The subconscious self has to be clear. If our subconscious is holding on to emotional baggage, and if it responds to something we have stated is our desired outcome, you can feel what's called a cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you have a feeling of stress or anxiety that results in you saying something or acting in such a way that violates your beliefs and your values. And that leads me to my next subject. Oh, before I go into my next subject, I wanted to give you a couple of ways that you can play games with your subconscious self to kind of develop an intimate rapport between your conscious self and your subconscious. Because remember, I told you last time that our subconscious stores everything we have ever been exposed to, everything we've seen, heard, felt, smelled, and tasted since the moment we were born to the present time. Our subconscious stores that. But oftentimes, we as a conscious self don't have access to it, or we don't think we have access to it. So here's a simple game you can play with your subconscious. And I suggest you do this by yourself when there's nobody else around because they might think you're nuts, and that's okay. This is a very valuable game. You can talk to your subconscious. You can talk to yourself as though you're talking to your younger self. Your subconscious loves that. It hears your language and responds to it, even though it doesn't speak it. So one of the things you can do is you can say, if there's something, for instance, if there's something you know happened, let's say Christmas when you were 6 years old, there was something that happened that made you very happy, but for the life of you, you can't remember what it was. Some memory like that you're aware of, but you can't recall the details of. Then you can use this question. I wonder how quickly you can recall that memory for me and deliver it to me. It may have been a gift you got. It may have been something that happened. Whatever it is, ask that question. I wonder how quickly you can fetch that memory for me. And then just go about your business. And when the memory suddenly dawns on you, what I want you to do is to celebrate as though you just discovered the cure for cancer. Because when you do that, you're actually praising your subconscious self. And it loves that, just like a younger sibling would love that. So now I want to talk about what we know as brainwave states. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, your brain has a beat similar to your heartbeat. Your heart beats, you hear it when you are very quiet, sleeping. Your doctor hears it when he listens to your chest with a stethoscope. Your brain has a beat too, but it's much more subtle. And it's in the form of electrical signals. And so scientists, they name these signals. They name these brainwave states. And when you go into these states, you're in an altered state of consciousness compared to the beta state. The beta state, which is where I am right now, and probably you are too as you're watching this program. So the brainwave states are the alpha state, which is the daydream state. It's a state we go into when we begin to fall asleep, when we daydream, when we are in light meditation or hypnosis. That's the alpha state. Now, beneath the alpha state is the theta brainwave state. And that's where we dream. When you're sound asleep and dreaming, that's the theta brainwave state. And the lowest one is called the delta brainwave state. That's when you're in deep, dreamless sleep. And in that state, you have no conscious awareness of what's going on around you. Your subconscious does, but your conscious self does not have any awareness in the delta state. The frequencies of these states, the delta state, is from half a cycle per second to 4 cycles per second. And what's interesting about that is children at birth are in the delta state from birth until about 4 years old. Anyone who has had kids, when they're tiny kids below the age of 4, when they fall asleep, you can pick them up, throw them over your shoulder, bring them home, put them to bed. They'll never wake up. As soon as they close their eyes, consciously close their eyes, they're right in the delta state. Once we reach the age of 4, from the age of 4 or 5 to the age of 8, where those people, we were in the theta brainwave state. And the same thing. When children close their eyes at that age, they go into the theta state. And then you reach the age of 8, we transition into the alpha state. And the alpha brainwave state is from 8 hertz to 14 hertz, or 18 cycles per second to 14 cycles per second. Interesting that these brainwave states accompany us during the same age as the number of the state. Now, here's why this is so important. Those are hypnotic states. Anything that happens to us, anything that we perceive, we hear, we feel, goes into our being very, very deeply, as a post-hypnotic suggestion. Sadly, that is especially true of any traumas we've experienced during those ages and any messages we've received from authority figures about who we are and how we should be. And so, if we begin to talk about, think about, value, act as though we're moving towards anything that violates, we've been told in those deeper brainwave states will create a sense of cognitive dissonance and prevent the ability of your thought form to be sent through your subconscious self to your transcendent self. These are things like, I'm not good enough. Cancel, cancel. I'm not smart enough. Cancel, cancel. People like us don't do those things. Cancel, cancel. Money is bad. Cancel, 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 cancel. Oh, that disease is part of our family. Cancel, cancel. All of these things become our core beliefs, our subconscious beliefs. They're called subconscious or unconscious beliefs because they're happening beneath our conscious awareness. And as we begin to craft these thought forms of our most cherished desires, if our desire is to have wealth, if that violates a contract you entered into without you even knowing it, then you're going to experience cognitive dissonance and you will not be able to send that thought form to your high self. That's how serious this is. So understanding this and understanding how your subconscious works is of primary importance in the Master of the Science of Miracles system and in your being able to transmute your life into the life you truly desire. Now, this sounds very serious, and it is very serious, but there's good news, and that is these things are easily cleared away. This happened to me when I was developing the Master of the Science of Miracles system. I was all set to go. I'd set everything up. I had my thought form of my desired outcome, and I got all ready. I went into the state, the mental state that I'm going to teach you how to go into. And I began the process of sending this thought form to my high self, and the door slammed shut. What the heck is going on? So I used a tool that I'm also going to teach you how to use, and I interrogated my subconscious self. And I asked a couple of questions. This has been shut down because of a bunch of things, and finally I hit on, I am blocked because of fear. And the tool I was using indicated, yeah, that was the case. My subconscious indicated to me, yeah, it's fear. I didn't even need to know what the fear was. I used a process I developed called the personal demon demolisher. These demons, these personal demons, are those things I just talked about. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm too fat. I'm too thin. I'm too young. I'm too old. Cancel, cancel to all of that. Those are personal demons that we carry in our subconscious. And as soon as we begin to challenge that, we enter that state of cognitive dissonance. It prevents us from going any further, prevents us from claiming the greatness that might be ours. See how important this is? Now, I would love to sit here and tell you all about this, but my time here is limited, and frankly, I don't want to tax you. I don't want to bore you to death. And so in coming episodes, I'm going to be giving you a meditation that you can use where you can enter a deeper meditative state, the alpha brainwave state, because thoughts that we focus on when we're in the alpha brainwave state have a greater effect on physical reality than those same thoughts focused on at the beta brainwave state, which is where we are right now. So being able to go to alpha intentionally and then focusing on the thing we've chosen is the first part of this whole process after we have crafted our multi-sensory thought form, which I'm also going to show you how to do in a subsequent episode. The other thing I'm going to teach you is elements of the personal demon demolisher. And they're energy-based elements. I'll bet you already are aware of at least one of them. So, that having been said, I want to thank you yet again for joining me today. I hope that you have enjoyed listening to me as much as I have enjoyed bringing this information to you. And until next time, make miracles an ordinary part of your life. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.